If you've ever stared at a glossy product photo and thought, is this the right 3D printer for me? Or am I just going to waste a lot of cash on something that won't fit my workflow? You're not alone. The fear of buying a machine that ends up gathering dust is real, especially when you're balancing a hobby budget against the promise of professional-grade prints. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In this review, I'll walk through what it's actually like to take the original Prusa CoreXY Plus out of the box, assemble it, and start printing so you can decide whether the DIY kit is worth your time and money. First off, the CoreXY Plus isn't a plug-and-play box. It's a DIY kit that expects you to roll up your sleeves and put the printer together yourself. That might sound intimidating, but for anyone who enjoys a hands-on approach, the build process is where the rewarding DIY experience shines. The parts are clearly labeled, the instructions walk you through each step, and you end up with a deeper understanding of how a CoreXY system moves the print head. That knowledge pays off when you need to troubleshoot a filament jam or fine-tune the belt tension later on. If you've never assembled a printer before, set aside a weekend and be ready for a bit of trial and error. The learning curve is steep but very satisfying once you see the first successful print emerge from the enclosed chamber. Speed and quality are the next big selling points. The CoreXY architecture gives the printer a faster, more balanced motion compared to the traditional Cartesian designs you see on many entry-level machines. In practice, that translates into noticeably quicker prints for medium-sized parts. Think functional prototypes, custom phone stands, or small batch production of gear sets. Because the printer is enclosed, the thermal environment stays stable, which is a huge advantage if you're printing materials like ABS that love consistent heat. The enclosure also helps contain any fumes, making it safer to run in a home workshop. On the flip side, that same enclosure can trap heat, and if you're in a small room without proper ventilation, you might notice the ambient temperature climbing after a few hours of continuous operation. A simple fan or opening a window usually solves it, but it's a factor to consider if you're tight on space. One of the features Prusa emphasizes is the Smart Plus Updates system. The printer ships with a redesigned EasyFlex loading mechanism that lets you swap filament without pausing the whole print job. In real use, that means you can keep a spool of PLA feeding while you switch to a new roll mid-print, reducing waste and downtime. The firmware also receives over-the-air updates that improve things like vibration compensation and print quality algorithms, so the machine gets better over time without you needing to flash new code manually. However, these updates assume you have a reliable internet connection during the initial setup. If you plan to keep the printer completely offline, maybe because you're protecting proprietary designs, the first-time setup can be a little more involved, requiring you to download the firmware files elsewhere and transfer them via USB. Now, who should actually consider buying the CoreXY Plus? If you're a maker who already has some 3D printing experience, enjoys tinkering, and wants a machine that can grow with you, this kit hits the sweet spot. It's great for hobbyists who need higher speed for iterative design, small-scale engineers looking for an affordable way to produce functional parts, or educators who want students to learn both the mechanical and software sides of additive manufacturing. On the other hand, if you're looking for a pure plug-and-play solution that you can set up in 10 minutes and start printing straight away, the Prusa CoreXY Plus might feel like too much work. Likewise, if you have limited floor space or no ventilation options, the enclosed design could become a nuisance. And if you're primarily interested in ultra-large prints, say, big cosplay props or architectural models, the build volume of the CoreXY Plus may feel restrictive. Finally, let's talk about value beyond the headline specs. The price point reflects not just the hardware but also the long-term benefits of owning a printer that you understand inside and out. Because you assembled it yourself, you're less likely to run into mysterious errors that require a tech support call. You can diagnose most issues by checking belt tension, nozzle clearance, or firmware settings. The speed gains mean you spend less time waiting for prints, which can be a real productivity boost if you're producing parts for a small business or a school lab. The downside is the time you invest upfront, both in assembly and in learning the quirks of a CoreXY system. If you're willing to make that trade-off, the original Prusa CoreXY Plus delivers a solid mix of performance, adaptability, and educational value that's hard to find in pre-assembled models. If you're ready to take the plunge and want a machine that will teach you as much as it prints for you, the link is in the description.